Hello, everybody. This is Tim Shaw, and we're going through the C.S. Lewis book, the Screwtape Letters. The book is about a demon, Screwtape, who's writing to his nephew, Wormwood, about bringing a Christian to the side of Satan. And we are reviewing chapter 9 today. And in chapter 9, the book goes into how Wormwood should try to tempt this Christian patient, as Screwtape calls him, into become, becoming or moving away from Christianity into towards Satan. And in doing so, the Wormwood addresses a couple of factors. He first describes he attacks the patient on three fronts. He attacks them physically, uh, emotionally, and then he attacks them with his minds and thoughts, and then he attacks them through faith. Um, in the physical side, he hits them with the idea that when we're tired in our trough of time, in the undulation, we are weak and we are susceptible to things such as sensual pleasures that we normally would have resistance to. But when we're in our weakness, we tend to subscribe to those and fall to those tempted pleasures, but not in a good way, but in a way that's perverted from what God had intended. Also, we take on things like drinking to excess beyond control, and other things. Some people may take it to eating too much or anything in excess. And those things can be one way of the devil grabbing hold of us. The second way is our mind. We start looking at whether or not we are in despair. And in the book, Screwtape doesn't focus on that one as much, but he does look at the other two types of people in thought. So that's being a person who lives on free will, or the works of our um, ability to will ourselves to it, our willpower. And the part that gets us in those times is when we try to will our way back to out of the trough to a peak of where we used to be when we first became Christians, or another point when we're at our peak in Christianity. Is that if we do make it there, we can put ourselves in a prideful position of becoming an idol in of ourselves, and not relying on God to take care of us. We would start relying on ourselves. We put ourselves as idols in place of God. The other one is where we have a hope, and the problem with hope, in the sense of being in despair, is that hope can lead to complacency in our position, and hope used incorrectly can lead us to accept where we're at and accept that maybe God's not there helping us out of the situation. And so we fall into complacency and not living with that hope, and we're not living in the hope that we should of God being there, but we live in the false hope of getting out of it by our own means, or the false hope of maybe God's not going to help us there, and that's not good. The last phase is looking at it from a faithful point of view, in that the demons attempt to get the patient to try and recognize, think that that the religion is just a phase, that the trough is um, a position that um, it may be permanent, and that through the through this time period of being in a trough, and that in a phase, that it's just something that's going to wear away, and then we'll be back to where we were before we even started, or we'll be going in through periods of moderation. We attend church for a little while, we connect with fellow believers, and then we move on, and then we come back, and during that period, nothing really changes because we're not pursuing actively through that. And so, in all those cases, we have to be careful, as Screwtape tries to tell Wormwood. It's their position to try to get to us during those times with those tactics, and if we're not wary, we can easily fall into them. But the whole point of undulation, from God's point of view, is that we want to seek Him during those times, more so than we are our peaks, but when we're down those times, because that strengthens our faith in His constancy, His always being there. We seek His will in our lives, not what we want to be, not what we can do, but what He can do for us in all periods of our life, especially when we're down. And in that constancy of that rock that He is, that holds us up, holds us through these times, really will help us get through those, and we'll get stronger through each of the troughs and peaks of our undulation. So that's the basis of chapter 9, and we're enjoying this. And then by me, forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, but I've been taking this journey on with a friend of mine, Aaron Hussey, and he and I are communicating, working, doing this study together. We're trying to get the videos work out together. This time it didn't work out. We're going to work through the technical glitches of getting a video together each time, but this time it didn't work out. We'll get it together next time. So I'm enjoying recording these videos, summarizing what we're learning, and I hope you find it useful as well, and look forward to the next chapter that we're going to be discussing. Until then, have a good one, and God bless.